Okay. We will go ahead and move on to consent calendar. Item 5. All items are considered routine or implemented in an earlier council action and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless requested. So obviously we have items A through M, quite a few. Are there any items that colleagues wish to pull for a separate vote? Not seeing any. Vice Mayor.
I'm sorry, I jumped the gun there a little bit, Mr. Mayor. I was just interested in pulling one of the items for a discussion and perhaps a modification.
Which item, please?
That would be 5F.
5F, thank you. Are there any other items for separate discussion or clarification? Not for a separate vote. So, Councilmember Mason.
I just wanted the clerk to clarify there was a modification on the minutes. So I don't know if it needs, I would just say, I guess, for discussion.
So you want that item to have discussion on the minutes? Item, where are we? Item D?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you. Any other items? Okay, at this time, we have item D and F to have further discussion on. And if there's anybody from the community, you can put up your virtual hand now, but we're going to start with D and then we'll go to F. So first item is D. Approve the regular meeting minutes for the regular meetings of July 13th, 2021. Councilmember Mason.
So I received an email from the clerk just stating that there was an update made or a modification made on the minutes. And so I don't want to put words in her mouth. I just wanted to put on the record that there was a change in the minutes. And I think Ms. Thurman can speak as well if she'd like.
Yeah, I think we all received an email, and that those modifications, and somebody will correct me if I'm incorrect, were already within the packet. Okay?
Not in the original packet that was sent out.
The correction that was made to the minutes was under item 6A. The tally that was placed after the direction provided to staff was removed, but the direction to staff still stands.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, is there anything else from anyone on the minutes? That was item D. Let's move on to item F. F is adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a 5-year contract with West Valley Construction for the annual water system spot repair services in an amount not to exceed $200,000 for school year 2021-2022. Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also wanted to thank staff for answering some of my initial questions I had on this item. My concern with the item is how there were no bids on this project, and then moving forward in approving a 5-year contract for a contractor without competition. So I'm hesitant with that. However, I will suggest that I could support it, provided the staff comes back with a report on what was completed in this upcoming year, and then it will be okay. I just wanted to kind of have a little bit more clarity on what's happening with this contract.
Council Member Hamilton.
So I had a similar concern with the 5-year contract, and but then reading deeply into the report that came along in the packet, it was clear that the city can terminate the contract at any time. So that made me more comfortable with it. My understanding is that we've been pleased with the work that West Valley has done for us in the past, and we have no expectation that this would change in the future. But nevertheless, we are not locked in for all 5 years if circumstances should change. So that's what made me more comfortable with it. And I had this on my list to pull as well, but it had already been pulled because I thought it would be important to state that here in the meeting for folks who might just read the agenda item and not necessarily read the packet.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Mason.
I guess just a more general question about when we have only a single response. So does the city make an attempt to make calls and just see if there's any and garner additional interest? And then when we don't receive responses, does the city call some contractors that we thought would be interested that didn't answer to say, hey, why didn't you respond? Or why didn't you submit a bid?
Okay. Thank you, council members, for your questions and comments. Staff, city manager, or is there somebody who would like to speak to some of those items?
Sure. Jovan, Grogan, city manager. I'll ask Ritchie to address the questions that were raised on this item. I know you provided a number of the responses, but can you go through the spot repair process, what is typically used for, the amount that we normally spend, the 80 to 90,000 over the last few years, but then also talk about the contracting process as well as the contracts code and the challenges we have to encourage people that did not submit a bid to then submit a bid.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Ritchie.
Yes. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council members. Thank you. My name is Ritchie, Interim Public Works Director. I heard a number of concerns and questions come up. Firstly, it was competitively bid. We advertised as we do all of our projects that are over a certain amount, and it turned out we received no bids. We actually had also included in there the contractors that we worked with previously and sent them the bid package, but they had also not responded. When that occurs, there's a section in the code, and let me pull that up real quick. It is Public Contract Code section 20166, which states if no bids are received, the legislative body may have the project done without further complying with this chapter. So what that means is we did not receive any bids, and so we contacted West Valley, who had previously performed this work favorably for the city, and they were actually one of the contractors we had, provided the bid to. And historically, these types of bids are difficult to solicit because contractors typically like large projects. They like to get their work done and then to leave. These projects are small. They're sporadic because they're emergency as needed. And so, it's different. And this goes for sidewalk repair projects that are more on-call based. This is not unique to the main replacement. And so, because this is it was advertised as a multi-year, just because there's an amount of administrative time that goes into procuring, and then with the low interest, I think we also, the other component is that there was a cap as to what the increase in price can be, and so that locks in, the reasonable rate that we were able to obtain to a 3%, and so that they couldn't raise their prices on us. And to be honest, I'm more concerned that they will ask not to renew the contract than it is for us to say, we want them to do the work. It is challenging work to get on an emergency basis, and so in a way, I think we were fortunate to have West Valley agree, who does good work. I believe I answered the majority of the questions. I apologize if I missed any. And
I think Councilmember Mason also just wanted to know, and she'll stop me if I'm saying it incorrectly, just about the process. So we didn't have a lot of interest. Do we reach back out to people? Do we call folks? Do we follow up in that?
Yes, we did contact West Valley to ask why they had not. I guess they were just not interested at that point. They may have been potentially a bit confused by the bid package as well, and because it's unusual because it's an on-call. What contractors are typically used to seeing are set prices of this is the work that they're supposed to do, and so I think it just wasn't something that that they were had interest in bidding on. But I think we contacted them later, and in attempting to procure a contract, we were able to work with them on that.
Okay, so I would just say that, that I understand the process that we just went through, but I think just for future reference, it would be nice to reach out to more than one of the contractors that didn't respond. Even now, I mean, even after tonight, just to say, hey, what can we do next time so that we get more of a competitive bidding process. But I understand why you chose this contractor to call. I just want to make sure that we're reaching out to more than one contractor and hopefully improving our process if need be. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Yeah, I just want to also note that we did reach out to multiple contractors when the bid first went out. And only after there were no bids did we reach out to only West Valley. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
Colleagues, are there additional questions or comments on F? Vice Mayor.
Yeah, so I just wanted to see if the city manager felt there was anything wrong with having staff report back prior to the beginning of the next year of this contract.
Sure. So the request is that for this contract, council would like a report prior to the 22-23 fiscal year on what was done by West Valley under spot repairs.
Yes.
So, and off agenda memo, we can put that in the work plan to provide. I think it would be nice to do the whole fiscal year. So if council is amenable, I think giving that off agenda item at the beginning of next fiscal year, that way we can cover the entire 21 to 22 fiscal year, which would seem like a nice cutoff point, and no problem with providing that report.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to support the Vice Mayor's recommendation for that report. In the past, I've asked for some statistics on how our repair program or our replacement program or renovation has affected our requirement to do emergency repairs. And it was the expectation that as we renovate our infrastructure, that those emergency repairs should become less prevalent. And so it would be good if within that reporting, we also have a historical perspective on what has been spent in the past and what has been alleviated by our upgrades that we've done over the past few years. And
I think what the city manager had asked if it would be a full budget cycle year, which I'm seeing people were amenable to that. And then in concurrence with the Vice Mayor and Councilmember Salazar as well, for myself. So if is there any other comments or is there action by the council in regards to consent items A through M? Councilmember Hamilton.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent calendar items 5A through 5M.
The Vice Mayor has seconded. Motion made by Hamilton, seconded by Vice Mayor Medina. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Mason?
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Marty Medina?
Aye.
Mayor Rico Medina?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.